easier for you. That's what tech is doing. So that's what they've been trying to do. And, well, there we are.
Okay, so let me look at it in another way.
Of course.
Because, you know, if you look at the caption of the communique, it says proliferation of unregistered online investment and trading platforms.
Right.
Is there a good year that we are not seeing? Are they afraid of the fact that, you know, there might be a loophole in the fact that, you know, these things are everywhere and everyone is doing it?
Right.
You know, do I want to believe that there's some protection for the populace? Do you see any part of this being positive?
No, I don't see it positive. No, because again, you're restricting them and you're causing them. These people have IT people. All this is just for them to bring out a new license and say, oh yeah, come and register here with this particular license. We'll be able to track you some more. So hopefully this is just a temporary stopgap.
There should have been another way they should have done this.
See, I've talked to them. They said they've been talking to them all this time. They're in dialogue with them, right? They're like, you could have just talked to us and just made a phone call a meeting.
But wait,
now you just come out and make this announcement. So again, it's the communication, like you said earlier. It's very weird. Yeah.
This license, is it a pot of beans? Is it cheap?
Well, no, I know you pay.
Licenses are expensive. So wait, now what happened? Not practical.
Right.
Because most times when you now want to really do those businesses, you see that there's so many bottlenecks and you claim that you're a country that's pushing ease of doing business.
Please, I want to...
You want to respond?
And I want to respond. Please, I'm not tackling you. I'm not tackling you. I tend to offer clarification on some matters. Because I remember we were talking about infrastructures that are in place. I want if you would agree with me that there are infrastructures in place, but are they working?
Correct.
That is the problem. We do have a platform today that you're supposed to go and register your business without any help.
Right, the Corporate Affairs Commission.
Exactly.
CAC,
is it available?
Right.
If you put it on the internet, will it come out? Yes. But would you be able to successfully
complete the transaction
without needing anyone? That's what the problem is. So, sister, I'm not tackling you.
Let's take comments from our audience.
Okay.
Let's take comments from our audience. Let me take from Benson. It says, interestingly, there is no one or system that can stop a change whose time has come. Governors need to wake up and smell the coffee. The more the Nigerian government continues to be reactive on all opportunities, they continue to suppress the growth, expansion that eventually empowers the citizens. The apparent laid-back disposition of our governance continuously breeds anarchy and poverty. That's from Benson. Then you have some AK with you.
Okay. So I have this one from Tony from Munich in Germany. He says, good evening, ladies and Nigerians. I just want to speak on the CBN issue. Nigerian government is full of negative surprises. Don't be surprised what money you will hear that Nigerians have been sold out. I maintain again, Nigerians should wake up.
Wow.
Okay, there is no name here, and this says, government should never strangle, but to explore, expand, and optimize every opportunity, be it local or global. If the government wills it, they can do it. Now, this also calls to mind somebody who said that the government we have is actually hustling the civilians. Not actually, we do not have a government. We have hustlers as government.
Brutus, we have lamented.
Yes.
What's the way forward?
Look, the way forward is to just hope that, there's more clarity. They allow businesses to thrive because, unfortunately, they hold the future of these firms in their hands. And the knife, there it is. So it's just to keep appealing, keep engaging, and hopefully we get more positive vibes from the government. Hopefully, at this point.
You know why I say so? I never thought it was possible to be able to get businesses that would grow at such short time. But fintech has proven otherwise.
Correct.
We're seeing so much growth in that space. It is alarming. And it's also not just growth alone within locally. It's attracting global attention.
Correct, yes.
So if we were to now sit down to say we're talking to the government and maybe they're listening to us, what should be the things that we should be telling them? Because it seems like we're just talking, but it's like they do not understand it. And every time they are just looking at, because for me, I'll still go back. This our government, it seems like everything's about politics for them.
Yes.
They are not seeing that this is actually going to get a lot of young people employed. It's going to get a lot of young.
Unemployed.
No, it will get them employed.
Right.
It will get a lot of people, so much opportunities that they will not even need you as a government to be all right.
That's the problem one now. They will now not need you as a government.
No,
what
but
you do?
Exactly.
So there needs to be that constant need to create a need for the government, because
To
sometimes
feel relevant, right?
Yes, to feel relevant, because
Right.
by the time you start doing most things for yourself, you become wealthy and can create wealth.
Which they can tax.
Which
That
they,
is what
and
we're-
so
which they can
for
tax.
me, I
Yeah.
feel that the government should shift focus. You just mentioned in the UK. If you come up with better instruments to regulate, come up with better decisions to, okay, so do you want to capture this? How do you do it? And I believe that this country has the knowledge, has the requisite knowledge,
Oh, of course.
and people that can do this.
Of course.
You
I
think
don't know
they
why we are not
know
doing
what
it.
to do? They know what
Let Rotus help us to answer this question. Because
Well, look, the thing is, unfortunately, some of the positions in government, there's the feeling that not the best qualified people are actually there that understand how these businesses work. You need more technocrats who understand these things. So, we just, again, there's an election coming up in less than 2 years. You just have to, the private sector guys just have to lobby. They have to lobby and engage and hope that they can, see things their way. The telco sector has been the one bit of success I can point to. As far as, I think GDP growth, Q4, telcos did like 17 or 16%. So again, that's down to Obasanjo selling off Nitel, reopening that sector and, allowing it to move forward. So you've got to see that privatizing it, right? And so, just think of the explosion. Think of call centers that people you can answer the phone when you call them. If your phone screen cracks, you can go get it fixed. That's a job that's been created. So the telco sector has been, I guess the one shining light to an extent for Nigeria. So we want to see that replicated in other sectors.
You see that telco that you're talking about? It's
Yeah.
all those people that are there.
Right.
You see, fintech, it's true. Fintech is people like you and I.
Right,
No, but
We're in our
right,
30s.
right.
No, it's true.
Breathing
Hold
deep
on,
and-
auntie, let me
Okay,
finish.
sorry, auntie.
Because now there is a lot of influx of digital banks
Yes.
coming up from everywhere. I mean, if you go online, there's one Kuda, there's this one everywhere. There are digital banks waking up. So, okay, so what is the difference between your traditional bank and your digital bank? When it comes to the kinds of things that benefits that will come to a CBN, for instance. Maybe they are not seeing that benefit, So what do you think the difference
They want
is?
to regulate them,
Yes.
right? They want to be able to control and see who is coming into the space and who is, playing the space. Now, another suspicion from this non-bank BVN thing was that the establishment legacy banks are afraid, right? Again, that's another speculation.
Is it-
It's up there, So the difference between the digital bank and the traditional bank is one's a physical structure. The other one is you can just your bank is on your phone, right? So you can do everything you need. They can order a virtual card and so on and so forth. But again, the regulators should just be like, hey, look, I'm just going to oversee everything, make sure everybody's playing by the rules, and let them move. So, but the traditional banks, they're a bit, again, with the telco thing and back to MTN, the tit for tat on that USSD thing, they might be a little bit worried, but they shouldn't be because they are legacy banks. They've got your dad and mom's history, your history.
And they
People
don't
still
have our history.
Well-
and our children's history.
they're still there, so there should be harmony between the two, and
Yeah.
the regulators should allow.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
That's
The
because- and I
regulators
know
should allow
that
it
this
happen.
talk also as banking as a service, and I
Yes.
think it's beginning to come in. People are going to take it important, but I don't see that working if we have these restrictions and
Right.
if we have everything. So for me, the future is collaboration, and it's for the benefit of the populace.
Indeed. Oh, yes, of
Really.
course. Yeah.
It's for the benefit of the populace, and I feel that Nigeria is large enough for everybody to eat and be satisfied.
Very
Some people
true.
just want to eat
Help me
everything.
tell them, because I
exactly.
think it's that eating and be satisfied. That is
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a large enough.
I want
Don't
to comment.
share.
I want to say something.
No,
I
I
have
just
a
said you don't
comment
want
from
to share.
Lafia. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Naspoli, Mr. Agu Naspoli. He says, Naspoli Lafia. That's where he's watching from. He says, watching from Lafia, Nasarawa State.
Oh, wow.
Your program is educating and inspiring. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Mr. Agu.
Good job.
So now, first of all, I want to say thank you so much, Rotus, because you see, before Rotus came on TV, I hate business. You see, my mouth is sharp. It's because I listen to Rotus like every single day, twice a day.
Thank you,
No,
thank you,
because
thank
you. So do I.
you've made me very, very interested in business. I told them, I said, I want to be a billionaire, and there's no how you want to
can
be.
do
There's no how you can be a billionaire without learning about what's happening in the
Financial
business
literacy.
world. So
Correct.
for that, I just wanted
Yes.
to put it out there. out there. Thank you so much. You're doing a great job.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed the
Roses
global.
has so many fans.
Thank
I'm
you.
one of them. You just keep us company on your Lagos hustle to walk. You should know that you're on the road. when
Yeah,
you're to see
so
stars.
I'm just
thank
begging
you,
them.
thank
Can you tell them that they should please make you finance minister? Maybe,
Wow.
maybe.
Speak it into existence.
You'll be
Speak it into
connected
existence.
over.
No, I'm not even talking about the connection. I just need
okay.
somebody that the head is correct to be there so that, because I'll still go back again. This is our future. Honestly,
course.
tech is our future. There's nothing. And they say, you used to say, oh, the future is already here.
It's already
Yeah.
here.
So I'm just hoping that, the government, so if you had one final word to give to the government is to talk about, the SEC warning to fintech, trading foreign stocks, and also the CBN speculated ban.
Yes.
What would that be, your final comment to the government, if they're watching?
Please speak plain English and do it quickly so our minds can settle.
Absolutely. I think there's no better way to put it. Ladies, do you want to add anything to
He
that?
has just
No,
closed
he
it.
has finished it up.
Oh, I know that was my take. Just please speak something
Communicate properly.
we can understand, because Nigerians, we are
I'm a
resilient.
marketing man. I need to understand you.
We are resilient. We would always find a way. There's something this
Exactly.
government needs to know. We would always find a way. We cannot be. See, for you to live and succeed in this country, you're a winner. That's all.
Exactly.
If just know it, you're a winner wherever you are. That you live here.
And you're
Thumbs up.
succeeding. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
been
you,
an
ladies.
amazing,
Thank you.
amazing
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you.
Time just flew by just like that. So.
Yeah.
Yes, so. All right, so Waze was birthed from the need to inform, inspire, and influence lives towards action. And this year, we started our CSR focus on curbing unemployment in Nigeria. So if you're a company, please partner with us by allocating internship slots. And if you're a job seeker, keep watching Waze and follow us on all our social media handles, as this will be an all-year-round engagement. So tell your friends to keep all eyes on Waze, in case you missed today's quotes. AK is going to add it. He missed it. Let us read it to him. We still have some more time, so we can read it. It says, here it is. Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. 1, if it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. AK, you added 1.
If it breeds, ban it.
If you do not understand it,
Ban it.
If you're not making money from it,
Ban it.
So we'll see you live on Monday at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy your evening.
It is a great source of pride to Nigeria whenever a Nigerian in a foreign country rises to the top of their field and is recognized for good. Here are a few of such Nigerians. Oye Obolewa is the first Nigerian-born Democrat that has been elected as a shadow United States representative out of the District of Columbia. Based on the result, Oye had 82.65% of the votes, which represents 135,234 votes against Joyce Robinson Paul. Oye was congratulated by many, including the Nigeria in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM. His father is from Kwara State and mother is from Oyo. He holds a PhD in pharmacy from the Northeastern University, Boston. He will be representing the District of Columbia under the Democratic Party. Esther Agbaje. Born to immigrant parents, Esther has been elected into the Minnesota House of Representatives in the recently completed United States general election. In the election, Agbaje won by a total of 17,396 votes, which represents 74.7% of the total ballots cast. She will represent District 59B in the 134-member House on the platform of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, an affiliate of the Democratic Party. She has a degree in political science from George Washington University, Washington, D.C. Oyema Ogbuagwu. Oyema is a Nigerian-born researcher and medical doctor who is one of the brains behind the research at Pfizer for the potential world's first effective coronavirus vaccine. The vaccine has been tested on over 43,000 people in 6 countries and no safety concerns have been raised. Oyema is the son of a former vice chancellor of Abia State University and a professor of sociology. He was born in New Haven in Connecticut but went to the University of Calabar in Cross River State to complete his university education in medicine. He then returned to the Yale School of Medicine to work as the director of the institution's HIV clinical trials program. After becoming a fellow of infectious diseases, he rose to the height of an associate professor of medicine at the Yale University School of Medicine, New Haven. He has worked there for 5 years, focusing on finding a cure for HIV/AIDS. Robert Shola Okoje, the Nigerian doctor who is a native of Uromi, Eson Northeast local government area of Edo State, has been inducted into the NASA Inventors Hall of Fame. Dr. Okoje is recognized globally as the leading expert on silicon carbide-based microelectromechanical systems, MEMS, for use in extreme environments. He has worked with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, for 20 years and has 21 patents. Isaac Okoro. In the world of sports, Nigerians are also taking center stage. Isaac was the first of the 8 Nigerian players drafted into the National Basketball Association, NBA, in its 2020 draft. He was the 5th overall pick and was chosen by Cleveland Cavaliers in 2020. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia, to Nigerian parents and was a small forward, part of the USA's winning team at the 2018 Under-17 Basketball World Cup in Argentina. His parents originated and immigrated from Nigeria. Isaac played basketball for his high school in Georgia for 4 years, helping his team win the state championship and achieved national success in his senior season. He was considered a 5-star recruit by Rivals and a 4-star recruit by 24/7 Sports and ESPN, respectively. To these Nigerians and other Nigerians breaking the proverbial glass ceiling, we say, keep it up. The motherland is proud of you.
Till today, I would say I'm going to my late 40s. It's still a mystery to me. That this actually happened to me, because I don't even know how, I don't know when. I didn't even know it happened to me. I grew up as a little child, like a normal child. Though as a growing adult, some of the fun was missing. But I never attributed it for one day to circumcision, that I was actually circumcised.
respect, my brothers.
The journey to finding my voice began at Ibadan. Or I may even say, way before the set date and time in my mind and in the city of Lagos. As a journalist, I had the privilege of interviewing 3 women on the occasion of Female Genital Mutilation Day 2019. This was the event that would make me discover that my people still lived in darkness. FGM is an endemic act in Oyo State, with the prevalence highest in Kajola, a local government area in Okeogun axis of the state, with a prevalence of 98%. Other regions in the state where the practice still holds include Oyo West, Ibarakba, Ogbomosho, amongst others. Culture stands at the core of any people at all, and in this case, a body of myth exists to strengthen the practice, which has become a real fear factor amongst the people. The conversation you're about to listen to was recorded somewhere in the city of Ibadan.
So kini yẹn wọ́n wá aṣọ níbi aṣọ ni wọ́n kan níbi aṣọ wọ́n kan kini yẹn sí bí wọ́n ṣe ṣe tó báyìí wọ́n kàn ṣó ni wọ́n wá gbẹ́ bí ìsàlẹ̀ odò yẹn wọ́n ní kàn gbogbo ọ̀tá yín àtẹ̀pá tó wọ́n sàn ṣàdúrà níjọ́ yẹn àdúrà náà bí èyí sọ pé ẹ má fi síbi tájọ́ ó gbé o wọ́n ṣe àjàgbédu ẹ̀ ní. So gbà bí wọ́n ṣe ti síbẹ̀ báyìí wọ́n sá dé wọ́n sọ sínú rẹ̀ wọ́n á gbé odò yẹn síbi ibẹ̀ padà wọ́n ṣe gbódò yẹn síbi ibẹ̀ padà báyìí so wọ́n á ṣe ráìsì wọ́n fi adìẹ sí àwa tá a kọlà gangan àwa jẹ àwọn tó gbádùn dáadáa orí náà lè ní jẹ so àwọn tí ò kọlà wọ́n pé gbogbo wọ́n fún ṣẹ́wà.
Let's begin by establishing facts about female genital mutilation.
There are 4 types of female genital cutting. You have the one we call type 1. That type 1, they go and then they excise the clitoris. So we call it a clitoridectomy. The clitoris is excised, and they believe by so doing, at least the woman's sexual urge will be at least kept in check to a large extent. Then there's another type. In that particular type, they remove both the clitoris and then they remove part of the labia. So we won't go as far removing both the majors and the minors, that are the 2 lips in the vagina. Then you have a third part, a third type. In that third type, they remove the clitoris, they remove the labia, and then they try to sew it up. So what they now do is, when it's time for marriage, they have a ceremony where they present out to everybody, and then the female relatives of the man and the woman will come as witnesses to witness the disinfibulation ceremony, where they cut off that scar that had been formed as a result of the, well, I'll call it surgery, the local surgery that was done on the woman. I mean, they are violating the woman's right because she has to be naked and nobody has to see it. Then even sometimes after cutting it, they dip some pieces of cloth and they take out the cloth as evidence that yes, it has been done on her and she's clean. Then the particular type, which we call the gishiri cut, that one is mainly found in northern Nigeria, particularly among a particular ethnic group, the Hausas, and then some part of Nigeria, the southern Nigeria Republic. What they do is, there is a knife which the salt sellers use then to cut off bars of salt. They call it the gishiri knife. So the girl passes the leg, they put it in, and then try to scoop the anterior vagina out.
Okeo, the local government capital of Kajola, I met a traditional exciser known in Yoruba as Olola, in person of Mr. Fasasi.
Ọmọ agboolé Olola Adilodun mo jẹ́. ìdílé wa ni ó máa ń kọ ìlà tẹ́ bá sì ro ẹ̀kẹ́ mi ẹ rí pé ìlà tèmi yàtọ̀ ìlà olólàlẹ́bọ̀kọ 3 ní ẹ̀gbẹ́ yìí 8 ní ẹ̀gbẹ́ yìí ṣùgbọ́n kò tó di early January last year 2019 àwọn UNICEF wọ́n wá sí Kájọlà wọ́n wá fún wa ní ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yìí pé ìlà tí à ń kọ fáwọn ọmọ wa obìnrin ó léwu ní ọjọ́ yìí àrò tó kó àwọn náà ẹ̀bọn ní kí ló táà fi ń kọ́ a sọ pé ìdí táà fi ń kọ́ ni pé àbá lọ́rọ̀ àwọn òbí wa bọ́n ṣe ń kọ́ àkọ́kọ́ ní abẹ tá ń lò òun náà náà fi ń kọlà fún àmọye àlòótọ́ ni ní abẹ kan náà ní olùlà kan gbọ́dọ̀ ní àwọn náà náà fi ń kọ́.
At Ishemile, we met Princess V.O. Adetono, who runs an indigenous non-governmental organization called Rural People Development Initiative, RUPEDIN.
Because when we finished the training at Abuja, I let him realize that it was not my own making. When you used to come to me and I used to refuse. At times I be saying that I'm very tired, I am very weak. Please, and it's because of the pain I used to have. Because if not because of bearing children, I would have lived men apart. Because it's usually very painful, very, very painful. It's at times that you enjoy it. Maybe once in a blue moon, one can enjoy it, but the enjoyment will not be so deep. Before I was fully agreed with our forefathers about that culture, that it was the best, and there wasn't any harm to women about that female genital mutilation. But when I came to be aware that it is a danger, that it is not good for women, was through my NGO.
In my case, I lived with a group of girls in a female hostel. And girls will always want to go out, they'll come in, they'll give experiences of how they had fun, how they were with their boyfriends, how it was interesting, that they got to the peak. And secretly I would sit down and just wonder in my head, but how is this? These girls, they go out, they have fun, they get to the peak, but why don't I? Why can't I experience it? It never occurred to me that anything was done on me, because I never even thought of probably looking at myself through the mirror, trying to see what's there under me, because I didn't even have the knowledge. You see, ignorance of so many things, and that's one of the effects. You tend to want to keep a lot of things to yourself, not knowing why this is happening to me, or probably I'm with the wrong man.
Boni, no, wọ́n fara mọ́ láti ye ọjọ́ yìí. Èmi ò fara mọ́ ṣe. Wọ́n sọ fáwọn òbí mi pé ìyàwó tá a ṣe ṣe. Ìgbà tí ọ̀sọ̀ náà ń bẹ ó ti sọ fún mi. Ó sọ fún mi. Àmọ́ abo ni láṣìírí. Ọkọ mi kò sọ náà ń bẹ o. Èyí sì mọ̀ bí ń ṣe ṣe. Ó lè ṣépè fún ọ. Wọ́n ṣépè fún ọ. Má bù mí so.
Or probably there's something wrong with me. Or probably I'm the one that I was created not to enjoy sex. But actually, that was artificial act that was done on me. Because the artificial act was for me not to enjoy sex.
Mo ti gbìyànjú tó. Kò sí nǹkan kan. Wọ́n fọlọ́n bẹ̀ mí nígbà. Èṣù ló tóbi ju ìnígbà. Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ búkú yìí. wọ́n fẹjọ́ rẹ̀ fún àwọn òbí ẹ̀ wọ́n sì dọ́dọ̀ àwọn òbí mi tí ń lọ fẹjọ́ sùn wọn akérèbó tó ṣe. mo lọ. Gbogbo ń tọ́ sí ìdílé fi jọ orí mi wọ́n burú.
While at Okeo, we visited a market called Boje. At this market, we spoke to some market leaders, all of them women. I remember the deputy of the market women said to us,
a
little into the conversation, the myths that surround the practice began to surface.
Ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀ ni pé torí ọmọ bíbí torí kíní yẹn máa ń tayọ ọ̀nà tó máa gbà yọrí síta tí wọn ò bá kọlà yín fún ọmọ á máa fẹ́ ṣe jàǹbá ní abẹ́ ìyọ́ ọmọ kíní yẹn abá lóde ayé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé kí wọ́n kọlà fún mẹ́rin. eléyìí abẹ́ obìnrin tí wọ́n ń dá wọ́n ní máa fàyè pé obìnrin kójú rẹ̀ ọmọ máa gbébì kan kó má máa so mọ́ àwọn ọkùnrin kí kódà gan ẹni tí wọn ò bá dábẹ́rẹ̀ gan yóò fẹ́ lè máa so mọ́ àwọn ọkùnrin pé kàn wá báwọn ṣe pé torí ẹ̀ gan ni wọ́n fi ń dábẹ́ fún àwọn ọmọ pé ìṣekúṣe lẹni tí wọn ò bá dábẹ́ fún ni ó máa ṣe káàkiri.
Some of the myths identified are mutilated women have difficulties with vaginal delivery. The clitoris must not touch the baby's head during childbirth. Also, it is considered a taboo for the clitoris to compete with the penis during sexual intercourse. An uncircumcised woman would become a prostitute. In local parlance, Adiashewu. Let's be clear, the clitoris is the bone of contention here, to live or not to live. Of course, this lied in the hands of the traditional excisors in the old days, as well as today, where it is still being practiced. You may want to ask, as I am asking, why should such decisions be theirs to make?
Ohun tí àwọn bàbá sọ fún wa nìyẹn nígbà tá a wà kékeré yí pé ọmọ obìnrin tí ò bá ti kọ́ yóò máa ṣiṣẹ́ aṣẹ́wó.
Well, maybe there's a response, maybe not. You want to ask what roles women play in defending patriarchy, right?
Woman yẹn wá sọ fún wa pé Èkó làwọn ń gbé. Ìyá ọkọ òun wá ní ìgbà tóun bímọ obìnrin. Ìyá ọkọ òun ní kóun gbé wá sílé láti wá kọlà fún. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ti jọ gbà pé àwọn máa wá kọlà fún nílé. So òun wálé. Ọ̀rọ̀ ta lábẹ́ yẹn abá lóde ayé ni. Tí wọn ò bá sì kọlà ó máa ṣe wọ́n ṣùtà ń pa obìnrin mi. Yíbò ẹ máa sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n yíbò ẹ dábẹ́ wọn ò bá gbọ́mọ kó náà wọn ò lè bímọ. Ṣùgbọ́n Yorùbá tẹnu bá ká bímọ rẹ̀ ìrọ̀rùn ni. Obìnrin kan ni wọ́n ní ṣe ń di àrò bó ṣe bímọ síbẹ̀ nìyẹn. Ìdí àrò wọn ní àwọn àbímọ síbi ìdí iné ni. Ṣùgbọ́n gbà tẹnu ti ká ń kọ́. Ẹnu ọ̀ká wa mọ́ náà ni jàǹbá yẹn fi ń wá ayé jù àkọlà mọ́.
Ours is a tradition that silences girls, that claims to know what's best for the younger ones and do not as such give deep thoughts to child rights. Could this be child abuse, you ask? What's more, if not? I remember as a child, you couldn't talk where adults were talking, even in family matters where decisions concerning you are being made. In Yoruba homes, or maybe Nigeria at large, or even Africa, this is considered a taboo. Has she the right to enjoy sex?
Kò yẹ kó yẹ pé ọkùnrin kan ló máa gbádùn. Ìgbádùn yẹn nígbà tí wọ́n jọ ń ṣe yẹn tó jọ ń ṣe ó yẹ káwọn méjèèjì máa gbádùn at the same time. Ṣùgbọ́n fún pẹ̀lú ìdálẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tá a ti gbọ́ tá a ti rí a di pé ọmọbìnrin tó ti kọlà abẹ́ kò lè ní enjoyment tó ẹni obìnrin tí ò kọlà abẹ́.
When we finished the training at Abuja, we were discussing. I met an Ijebu woman when she was trying to illustrate how they enjoyed it, in fact, I felt very sorry for my life. Why did my parents disturb me from enjoying my husband and enjoying my life? Then I am just so stupid to the extent that I didn't reason. I still put my children, my female children, in the same dungeon.
Sometimes the parents take the child, they don't tell them where they're going to. And when they get to the place, one woman just put their hand and just try to pull out the clitoris by force. And then when the child is crying, when the child is struggling, you have some able-bodied men and women that will pin the child down, and then this old woman tries to make those cuts and all that on her. So that child will never get to trust the parents anymore.
Our experience in trying to get young girls to talk is not one I want to recount. We got just 2 girls at the end of the day, and they admitted to being told that they were mutilated. They do not know when this was done on them, and they cannot, as a result, recount how it felt or even feels. They were simply too young to protest when it was done, even if they had known it was wrong. Apparently, the message of the complete eradication of female genital mutilation has been told these communities, as they need to conceal the truth made clear to us. In fact, it is a criminal offense, and it is well understood by the people.
Ìgbà tí wọ́n ti kéde ìyálọ́jà gbogbogbò ó ti wá tó ti sọ̀rọ̀ wípé ńlá o wọ́n ní kí wọ́n má kọlà abẹ́ mọ́ o. Ó sọ láti ìpinnu sàlẹ́ńdẹ̀ yẹn ó sọ dókè wípé tó wọ́n ní ẹ má kọlà abẹ́ mọ́ o, ẹni tó bá kọlà abẹ́ fóbìnrin wọ́n ó mú o. Ó sọ báyẹn láti gbà náà àwọn ò tí ṣàkíyèsí ẹnìkankan yìí pé lámọ̀ yín báyìí kọlà fún ọmọ obìnrin wọ́n ó mú àgọ́.
But the battle isn't over, and the perpetrators might have gotten wiser.
Lóòótọ́ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ti ṣe òfin fún àwọn tí wọ́n bá tún kọ ìlà abẹ́, ṣùgbọ́n òfin yẹn ètí ìmúlẹ̀ kò ètí ìdúnlẹ̀ rárá. Tá a bá lọ fún awareness náà la máa ń sọ fún wọn. Ó yẹ kí wọ́n máa irú àwọn òfin yẹn tàbí kán ní ètò lórí rédíò nígbà gbogbo, lórí tẹlifíṣàn nígbà gbogbo tí ó máa mú wá sí ìrántí àwọn èèyàn láwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan tí wọ́n bá ń gbọ́. Òfin yẹn gan tí àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní ìgbèríko gangan ni wọ́n sì lè fi kọ́ àwọn èèyàn tí ó fi wà létí wọn. Ẹ wo irú àpẹẹrẹ tí mo mú wá ńgbà tá a lọ sọ́dọ̀ àwọn télọ̀, àwọn ránṣọ ọmọ kékeré tí wọ́n gbé lọ́wọ́ wọn ti kọlà abẹ́ fún. That was last year. So wọ́n kọlà abẹ́ fún ìjọba ò mú yín. Tẹ́ bá tún kọ ọmọbìnrin kan wá dìde gbà bó làwọn ti á ṣe màmá mo ní déètì òní yìí fọkànbalẹ̀ àwọn ọkọ̀ rìpọ́ọ̀tù wa fúnjọba ṣùgbọ́n èyí tẹ́ bá tún ṣe lẹ́yìn rẹ̀.
One of the high points for me is the plea made by Baba Olola, Mr. Fasasi, where he apologized for the wrong of the past. I figured this might bring some closure to someone who wonders and questions in silence.
Tíjọba gbé wá láti rí pé láti má máa kọlà abẹ́ fún ọmọbìnrin mọ́ ó jẹ́ ètò tó dáa. Mo sì fẹ́ tọrọ àforíjì lọ́wọ́ ọmọ Nàìjíríà àti Ọ̀yọ́ state pé fún àwọn tí a ti kọ́ fún kí wọ́n dáríjì wá. A ṣe iṣẹ́ fún àìmọ̀ láfi ṣe ó àìmọ̀ ni tó pé ó ti kó ìnira bá ọ̀pọ̀pọ̀ obìnrin kò jẹ́ kí àwọn obìnrin kó lè ní ìbálòpọ̀ tó bó ti yẹ tó pẹ̀lú ọkọ wọn. Ìtàwọn àwọn tó sì kọlà náà confess nígbà tá à ń ṣe ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yìí pé tí àwọn ọkọ wọn bá meet àwọn tí ì bá jẹ́ pé ó di bí ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹrin làwọn ṣe mọ̀ pé ọkọ àwọn ọkùnrin meet àwọn. So kí àwọn tá a ti kọ́ fún kí wọ́n dáríjì wá.
By the way, have you ever checked your vagina? Do you consider the mirror a friend of your vagina? Do you have a clitoris? Or do you even know what a clitoris looks or should look like? On Friday, the 31st of January 2020, I checked my vagina again. What was I looking for? Well, I saw it. I needed to be sure, so I called my mother. She said, "We circumcised all of you," meaning it was widely practiced on babies when I was born. She quickly added, "But they said it is no good anymore." There my answers lied. I didn't know if I was to cry or not. I just said to her, "Mommy, I forgive you all. I already did even before I called. I just wanted to know. I just needed somebody to confirm to me." Nigeria has the highest absolute number of cases of female genital mutilation in the world. The practice is undignified to the women folks. It has brought shortened expectation of ecstasy, severe bleeding, pain and shock, infection, sometimes also leading to death, urination and menstrual obstruction, increased risk of urinary tract infections and HIV, mental health problems including post-traumatic stress disorder, sexual dysfunction, complications in pregnancy and childbirth, sometimes also leading to death.
So, when I came, I told my husband, it is not my own making. This is what I have been, sensitized now. I have been opened up to series of problems that female genital mutilation brings into the woman's life. So, and he said that since you have realized, have been able to manage you since all these days, I have to continue managing you.
One thing is certain, whether you know when it was performed on you or not, the deed is done. Your consent didn't matter, but it should matter now. It should matter now to stop the practice from affecting the unborn generation.
It's an evil, most especially in Africa and some parts of the Middle East. Whether it's type 1, whether it's type 2, whether it's type 3, whether it's type 4, even as innocent as using hot water to dab on the clitoris and all that, is an evil that should stop, and it's an evil that must stop. United Nations, World Health Organization, Society of Family Physicians of Nigeria, SOFPON, and World Organization of Sexual Health, we're all lending our voice. We are saying female genital mutilation must stop now.
Together we can fight this war. Our girls are suffering. Even in this age, even in this time, even at this point in time, even as I speak, some girl out there is about to undergo the process of circumcision.
A lè sọ pé kò lè dópin. A lè sọ pé kò dópin. Ṣé mọ̀ pé nǹkan mi bẹ́lẹ̀ tó jẹ́ nǹkan gidi tó yẹ kí ìjọba gan bá wa ṣe. Ọ̀rọ̀ tàbí tí kinní tí wọ́n ń sọ ni àgbàfọ́ lọ́hùn ni. Ẹ sì tóbi lọ́wọ́ wa torí pé àwa la sọ pé kẹ́ ẹ kàwé. Àwa la sọ pé kẹ́ ẹ kàwé. Kò sí ohun tẹ́ ẹ lè gbé wá tí ò ní jẹ́ déédéé ara wa. Èyí tẹ́ ẹ gbé wá yà gbà pé ó jẹ́ déédéé ara wa a sì gbàfọ́ lọ́hùn.
Ìgbèkùn yìí gbogbo wa la gbọ́dọ̀ fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ láti wí pé kí a mú kúrò nínú ìgbésí ayé àwọn ìran tí ń bọ̀, gbogbo àwọn wàhálà tí àwa ń kojú yìí, gbogbo àwọn ìjà tó yà ń dílẹ̀ láàrin ọkọ àtìyàwó yìí, àìríbáṣepọ̀ dáadáa náà ló ń dá sílẹ̀. So kí àwọn ìjọba wa kan túbọ̀ tiraka láti lọ àwọn tí wọ́n ń lò ní gbèríko kó máa mú kóríyá fún wọn. Fífi ìdàn obìnrin sílẹ̀ láì gé ó jẹ́ ẹ̀tọ́ obìnrin, ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọnìyàn sì ni, tí ò sì yẹ kí a fi dùn wọ́n. Nígbà tí a bá gé, a fi ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ̀ dùn ni, kò sì dáa.
Let's all come together. Let's have one voice. Let's return the shame to the society and fight against this act. For me, unapologetically, I stand strongly against female genital mutilation.
It's that time of the year again for Africa's largest and most diverse gathering of workplace professionals, C-level executives, policymakers, SMEs, and startups. It's the HREA Work Festival 2021, coming up on the 14th to 15th of April 2021. The two-day event will take place physically at the Landmark Event Center, Victoria Island, Lagos, while the virtual participants will be joining via the HREA's dedicated AI-powered multi-room virtual hub. Get ready as you experience 80 speakers, over 100 sessions, and 30 corporate exhibitors. The theme for this year's event is Borderless Work. Stellar speakers at the event include Segun Ogunsoya, Deborah Wainswig, Lekan Ogunbawo, Adeolu Adewumi Zer, Sabrina G, and many others. At the event, there will be masterclass certified sessions from the London South Bank University, Tekedia Institute, and Lagos Business School. Register now at www.hrexpoafrica.com or send an email to registration@hrexpoafrica.com. Headline sponsor, Bastion HMO.
Thank you for joining us on Plus News Update. I am Vivian Oguche. Now, a former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, says that bad blood is the reason for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election won by late business mogul Moshood Abiola. The former president, who was a classmate to Abiola at the Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta, said the annulment robbed Egbaland the rare opportunity to have three of its prominent sons occupy the seat of the president at different times. He said this during his investiture as a trustee of the Abeokuta Club, a socio-cultural organization of Egba people, Ogun State. Obasanjo apparently was referring to former head of interim national government, Ernest Shonekon, himself, and noted that Abiola would have become the third if the 1993 poll was not cancelled. And now suspected Fulani militias have allegedly killed 4 male victims in the early hours of Monday in Wawarafi village in Atiab Chiefdom, Zangon Kataf local government area, Kaduna State. A source said 6 houses, including foodstuff and other valuables, were destroyed by the suspected Fulani militia. He explained that soldiers came to the village last night but had all returned to their base. The source also said that, apart from the soldiers that came last night, as at the time this report was filed, no police personnel had visited the village. He called on the government and security agencies to protect the people. And in Cross River State, another police station has been attacked by unknown gunmen cutting away arms. Now, the attack occurred in Ikori in Yahoo local government area of Cross River State. An eyewitness who preferred anonymity alleged that the gunmen cutted away AK-47 rifles after beating up policemen on duty. This is the third time that officers of the Nigeria Police Force have suffered attacks within 2 months in the state. The Deputy Police Public Relations Officer, Igri Ewa, confirmed the incident, saying investigations on the matter is on. Well, let's take you to Adamawa State now, where the state's emergency management agency at SEMA has confirmed 7 persons dead and no fewer than 5,000 displaced following an attack by suspected Boko Haram insurgents on Friday. Kwapri, a village in Hang local government area of the state, which lies at the Adamawa-Borno boundary close to Sambisa Forest in Borno, was attacked Friday evening. But not much was known on the casualty figure at the time. Executive Secretary of ATSEMA, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, said that the attack on Kwapri affected neighboring communities where most of the displaced had taken up temporary residence. By the late afternoon of Sunday, life was gradually returning to Kwapri as the displaced had begun coming back. Meanwhile, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has confirmed the attack on its facility in Damasak, Borno State. The humanitarian coordinator and head of the UN mission in Nigeria, Edward Callon, said he is deeply concerned about the recurrent reports of violent attacks by non-state armed groups putting the lives of civilians at risk. He also condemned the attack on humanitarian aid operations and facilities that are, according to him, the lifeline for people affected by violence and conflict in northeast Nigeria. Now, governors from the southeastern region of Nigeria have established a security outfit called Ebube Agu as a part of plans to checkmate the rising unrest in that region stemming from an increase in criminal activities. And this was announced in Owerri by the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, Dave Umahi, while reading a communique after a meeting comprising all the governors, the President General Ohanes Ndigbo, and security chiefs in the 5 states. According to the communique, the agency is to oversee and monitor the activities of vigilante groups in the region. The communique also addressed the issue of open grazing, as the governors in the southeast unanimously placed an outright ban on it.
The meeting resolved to maintain a joint security vigilante, which already has been formed in the 5 southeast states for the southeast, and the joint security outfit to coordinate the activities of our vigilante in the 5 south states shall from today be known and called a Ebube Agu Joint Security Outfit for Southeast. The meeting condemns very highly the killings in all southeast in the recent time, and they asks the federal government security agencies to bring justice to the victims.
Now, the chairman of the forum further outlined the need for all security agencies in the zone to share intelligence among themselves for proactive actions against any form of criminality. They vowed to support the federal government in the fight against insecurity in the zone and ensure that the states are kept safe for business activities.
To strongly and unequivocally condemn terrorism and banditry in any part of Nigeria, particularly in Southeast. The meeting strongly condemns the burning of police stations, violent attacks on custodial centers with the unlawful release of inmates, and the killings including security personnel, natives, farmers, and herdsmen. That the 5 Southeast governors states are on the same page with the federal government on the issue of security challenges in the country. To this end, the meeting makes it absolutely clear that Southeast will stand resolutely with the federal government to fight terrorists and bandits to a standstill.
Still on security, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma has assured the northern community residing in his state of government's protection always, saying they are part of and parcel of the state. He spoke during a meeting with the leadership of the northern community at the government house in Owerri over the weekend. The leadership of the northern community said they had come to pay a solidarity visit to Uzodimma and to solicit his continuous support in the face of recent pockets of insecurity affecting them. Uzodimma, who thanked the leaders of the northern community for their maturity and understanding of events happening in the state recently, said the development has nothing to do with herdsmen, but the conspiracy of some bloodthirsty and greedy political leaders. The Northern Governors Forum has urged the Acting Inspector General, IG, of Police Usman Baba to take proactive measures in tackling the various levels of crime in the country. The chairman of the forum, Simon Lalong, made the call in a congratulatory message to the Acting IG. The governor of Plateau State said the forum would give Baba all the necessary support to enable him provide the leadership needed for implementing proactive policing for the safety of lives and property. He said Baba's appointment by President Muhammadu Buhari was well deserved, considering his track record of diligent service to the nation. And to other parts of Africa now, the African Union has praised the vote for running peacefully as ballots were counted after Chad's presidential election on Sunday. During campaigning, demonstrations were banned or violently dispersed, prompting concern from rights groups who say authorities have cracked down on dissent. Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres were among those who have voiced criticism. But the African Union says it was relieved that polling day went smoothly. And outside Africa, protests have erupted against police in the U.S. when an officer fatally shot a young black man after stopping his vehicle for a traffic violation on Sunday, about 10 miles from where George Floyd was killed during an arrest in Minneapolis last May. As angry crowds swelled into the hundreds outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department building on Sunday night, officers in riot gear fired rubber bullets and lobbed flashbangs at protesters and let off clouds of chemical irritants. The man killed by police was identified by relatives as Dante Wright. He was 20 years old. Elsewhere, a Spanish Coast Guard vessel has transferred the bodies of 4 people on a migrant boat to a port on the Canary island of El Hierro. The wooden boat was spotted by a fishing vessel around 120 miles to the south of one of the smallest of the Canary Islands, according to local media. The Red Cross said that of the 23 people aboard the boat, 16 were in a serious condition and that 3 in a better state had been airlifted. In business news, if government wants to reduce poverty, youth unemployment and crime, there is the need to channel the energies of the youthful population to industrialization and agriculture. This formed the major submissions of speakers at the training organized by the Yoruba Professionals Foundation and IOO. Speaking during the training, a retired professor of Romantics and Comparative Literature who represented the leader of IOO, Professor Banji Akintoye, urged the younger generation to keep on with the battle of industrialization as the future belongs to them. Founder and president of YPF, Maxwell Adeleye, also said that hunger, starvation and poverty breed insecurity and civil unrest. He then said the aim of the meeting was to use sciences, technology and digital innovations to wage war against poverty in the land.
This should be your moment, this should be your time. And never mind all the what we call distractions, and there are many distractions in place. But be assured of one thing, most of all, I believe, and that's what we were discussing just before we started the meeting, that is, this is the right moment, and you must find yourselves, you must be ready to forge ahead.
We want Yoruba people to embrace commerce and industrialization, and the best way is through entrepreneurship. Our aim is to see a Yoruba land where jobs upon jobs will be created. The Nigerian government has refused to create jobs for our people, so we felt we should help ourselves. We should be our own. We should build our own China. We should build our own Japan. We should build our own Germany, our own Malaysia. So, and this is the beginning.
It's for them to use what they have, because it's one to learn something, it's another to apply it, and another to make money out of it. Because they say technology is the application of science. But then you can apply science and get technology. If you're not creative or resourceful, you might not be able to make money out of it.
Responding, a cross-section of the trainees thanked the organizers for the life-changing opportunity.
Because I have a lot of projects I've run for people and I don't know how to produce paint. I had to go and meet people to produce for me, in which one way or the other, all my profit has gone to them. So this is a privilege and a valuable privilege for me.
It's like a 1 in a million opportunity for me to go out into the world of men and make my own way too. I really want to thank them. I also want to thank the teachers.
More news now. The World Bank says the international financial architecture is skewed in favor of rich and creditor countries. President of the bank, David Malpass, exposed the partial state of the architecture at the close of the World Bank and IMF Spring Meetings 2021 Development Committee meeting in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. He said a disturbing state of the global financial system was exposed last year by the COVID-19 pandemic, which made challenges and staggering needs of every country's economy even clearer. Well, some entertainment news now. Godzilla vs. Kong stormed to the top of the domestic box office, picking up $13.4 million in its second weekend of release. That brings the monster mashup's stateside haul to $69.5 million, an impressive gross considering it comes in the midst of a global pandemic. The legendary and Warner Bros. Release's robust commercial performance has been all the more notable because it comes as COVID restrictions are in place, limiting capacity in theaters, and also as the film is available on HBO Max. Godzilla vs. Kong is now the top-grossing film of the pandemic era, bypassing Christopher Nolan's Tenet, which earned $58.4 million. The impenetrable Tenet still far outranks Godzilla vs. Kong when it comes to sheer narrative confusion. And on sports news, Tottenham Hotspur manager Jose Mourinho has rounded on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after his counterpart accused forward Son Heung-min of conning the referee in Manchester United's 3-1 Premier League victory on Sunday. South Korean Son went down clutching his face after being accidentally caught by the hand of Scott McTominay in the build-up to an Edison Cavani goal that was controversially ruled out after a VAR check in North London. Well, it's a wrap for us, a news update. For more, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. Well, thank you for watching. I am Vivian Oguche. Bye for now.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
A breakfast where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful election and they are hoping there will be no rigging.
There is nothing bad in borrowing for infrastructure. The minister added that he was impressed.
Please come and see yourself what we are doing with the money we have borrowed.
It's very important. The way we brand ourselves is the way people will carry us.
It's just the driver of the two vehicles that were completely burned. This one was here screaming.
What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel security structure. A Amotekun Corps is a complementary corps.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No.
Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
some point, the way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "What? Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
had that
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Traffic signs are important indicators that direct and inform commuters and motorists of dangers ahead. The National Bureau of Statistics has shown that there are about 11.8 million licensed cars on Nigeria's roads as at fourth quarter of 2018, compared to 11.6 million in the preceding year 2017. With an estimated population of 198 million, Nigeria's vehicle per population ratio is 0.06. Road traffic signs serve several purposes. Some are placed on the roads to point out directions to motorists. Some are placed to ensure the safety of motorists and pedestrians. How much of these signs are known to Nigerians?
That shows that the road is free for somebody to walk. That the traffic light is indicating where, and it's time for you to walk across the traffic, issued in case need be.
Majorly, it's meant for why children are meant to cross the road. So there's need for every vehicle that was passing by at that particular moment to stop by for them.
Facing me is don't turn left. Because if it was like this, I would say don't turn right. So it's if you see the sign showing like this, it's don't turn left.
It's a sign putting it on restricted areas where it is not necessary for such a vehicle to enter, especially a vehicle that has lower height. It's not to enter in such a place.
Road signs are typically represented as symbols or annotations. Every motorist, and in some cases, pedestrians, are expected to have an understanding of what these signs represent. It is crucial for authorities in charge to produce road signs with symbols together with their meanings spelled out.
We need signs. Every country, every city needs traffic signs, otherwise there will be chaos on the roads.
drivers would not be informed. Nobody would know who has a right or who does not have a right. What can you do? What can you not do? Are you going to warn me about an impediment in front of me or not? So signs are critical. It's not about anyone taking advantage. It's about us utilizing it for our own safety benefit. In a city like Lagos or any large city, there are more pedestrians on the road, more than vehicles. And pedestrians are more vulnerable than vehicular movement because a vehicle is a matter that is enclosed, and so the occupant of a vehicle feels safer. Whereas a pedestrian is vulnerable because it's only their body structure, so on impact of anything, there will be serious injury. Any new road being constructed in Lagos must have a requisite walkway. Zebra crossing, typically in Nigeria, some drivers, when you tell them like, oh, why have you not allowed the pedestrian to cross at the zebra crossing? And the driver will turn back and say, well, I can't see no zebra. You must, as a motorist, you must stop and give priority to the pedestrian to cross. That's the purpose of zebra crossings.
Inappropriate parking on the road is another disturbing habit. Where can drivers park on the road in case of necessity?
Typically speaking, when you go and apply for a driver's license, you are foremost trained to say to you that where you park is very important because it borders on safety and it borders on obstruction of other road users. And so the first job of any driver or a motorist is that wherever you've parked, you must ask yourself the question, is it safe? Is it obstructive? Do I have any traffic signs that bans me from parking at this spot? If you're able to answer all those questions in the affirmative, then you're good to go. And it's not just that. You have to also ask, can where I have chosen to park, can it be perceived by enforcement agency to be obstructive or just not an appropriate place to park? I.e., it is not appropriate to park on an express road that even has 3 lanes, even for 1 second. Because why? From a safety point of view, vehicles on an express will be on a higher speed. If you park there and you obstruct, you're forcing them to change lanes. Now, forcing someone to change lanes on an express on high speed is very dangerous. More than likely, it will lead to a crash. So you can't park there. If you go to a market and you do not go into an off-street parking space or go and find a side street that is not obstructed to parking, and you now say, oh, because other people are parking there, I just want to park for 1 minute. 1 minute is more than enough for an accident to happen. 1 minute is more than enough for obstruction to other traffic flow to occur. So your 1 minute to you may be small, but for the country, for the state, for agency like ours, 1 minute at an inappropriate place is obstructive. And then that vehicle, if we have a tow vehicle, we will tow it.
What are the transportation agencies in Nigeria doing to educate citizens and motorists?
With a program like yours, it's all part of the education links that we have, that we use. Federal Road Safety Corps, LAMATA, LASMA, any agency that has anything to do with safety on the roads, with transportation, would always look for an avenue to educate the citizenry. There's a purpose for the road. Your purpose is to move from point A to B, not to abuse other road users. Don't take advantage of vulnerable road users like children and the elderly and pedestrians. Don't say because you're inside your car that you just have rights to do whatever you want.
Obey the road signs and remember not to drive under any influence.
সে তারা যেটা যাচাই করে নেয়। আমার নাম মাহি, আমার যখন 11 বছর বয়স ছিল নিজেও জানি না। তারপরে আমি বলছি যে আমি এখন বিয়ে করবো না, আমি পড়তে চাই। আমার মারে বললো
ini bas pwede siya lubang dia kunam tu ano ko yan daw ang ikaw ala ko uy na bantuli tu ndogo may ba nakafanya niya nakafanya
پیار پیش میکنم این مرمه زدک دو میداد بازم به پدر مادر هیچی نمیگفتم به هیچ کسی چی نمیگفتم بازم به اون رقم تیر میکردم.
In 2018, Voice of America posted videos on social media of girls and women describing their experiences as brides and young mothers. The videos sparked a global conversation, receiving tens of thousands of comments and arguments for and against child marriage. Spurred by the overwhelming response, VOA journalists and photographers spent a year chronicling child brides around the world, putting faces and voices to a practice the United Nations is trying to eliminate by 2030. They focused on the worth of a girl and her value to two families, the one she leaves behind and the one she joins. What they found was troubling. In much of the world, child marriage is common and acceptable, and the lives of girls aren't worth very much.
به مکتب میرفتم صنف 7 بودم. در روز بمونده بود که امتحانا سالانه نخوابیدم که برم صنف 8. من عروسی که بکردم دیگه نگذاشتم. هر چی که من گفتم میرم به مکتب میرم. امی خسور و خوشی همگی گفتن که اگه تو بری به مکتب ما.
At 13, Samaya was a dutiful daughter and sister in Afghanistan, helping her family make ends meet. Her father sold her to an abusive relative for $3,300.
این مرمه زدک دو میداد باز همه به پدر مادر خود چی نمیگفتم به هیچ کسی چی نمیگفتم بازم به مو رقم تیر میکردم همین تا با مشت و لغت و هردم مرمه زدم و دو میدادم فاش میگفتم مثلا اثری نمونه به جان شلاقی چیزا نمیزدن که اثری بمونه.
Samaya represents child brides around the world, poor, powerless, barely educated, whose resistance to marriage is either ignored or overruled. Like most, she had no choice in the decisions made by the grown-ups in her life. She was a business deal.
کارا مارکی میکنم موتور بخریدیم و نمیگذاریم هم که میگفتم میرم مکتب و شومه و خوشومه و همه مرمه زدن که تو نمایی که بریم مکتب نمیگذاشتم.
Unë quhem Orkita Driza, jam martuar në moshën 13 vjeç e 7 muaj. Njëra nga motrat e mia që ishte, domethënë, ishte më lart pak më e madhe se te unë, vuante me një sëmundje, kishte muhabet shumë me doktorët e Durrësit. Ky ishte një detyrim ndaj familjes, edhe unë e bëra për hir të si me motre për të shpëtuar jetën. Më vajti vajza Bleona 11 vjeçe, edhe merrti dikush ma kërkoi po nga komuniteti, po ishte egjiptian. U detyrova, thash, për mua si ta ketë shkujtash Zoti jetën, thash, për paktën vetë di që të flej rrugëve, për paktën vetëm fëmijën ta kem të strehuar, sepse nuk njihja ndonjë këtu që ta mund ta strehoja fëmijën. Po faktikisht jam ndjer shumë e penduar, por më bëri jeta, fatkeqësia e jetës.
Child marriage is not confined to girls in poor, developing countries or members of a certain religion or tribal custom. Even girls in the wealthiest countries, like the United States, are child brides.
I have 4 boys. I have a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Ashley got married under the mistaken belief that her 18-year-old boyfriend would be jailed for statutory rape of a minor in the state of Missouri. Ashley said 2 of her cousins, one a year younger than her, married soon after she did.
Good. I got married when I was 15. I just found out I was pregnant not long before I got married. My aunt got on the bus and she told me to get off the bus, that I was going to go get married that day. All I can remember is hearing all the kids gasp and was like, she's too young. We went to the courthouse and got our marriage license. And then we went to a preacher's house here in Steele, and he married us. I don't think either one of us realized how big of a commitment we were making then. No, that day I think I was happy, but I know there was definitely fear and doubt in my mind. I mean, I was happy that I was about to do what I thought was start a family, and I was excited more for the future than I think I was for the present.
عمر مې چې دی یو 4 سال کېږي چې عمر مې دی 6 میاشتې کېږي چې واده کړی مې دی. دلته راغلی مور مې ډېرې قرض وکړي په قرض کې خلک باوې وړي. ژړل مې ټول کلک ته مې ول مجبور ولو نو سمو کال قرضاریان داسې مو ټینګ کړی و. بیا مو ټول ول چې قرضاریان دې ټینګ کړی دي، پیسې نه لرې ورکړه، ول پیسې نه لرې ورکړه، خپل لور ورکړه.
In much of the world where marriage is a transaction marked by cultural expectations and traditions, young brides like Samaya and Bobogai pay the biggest price for their innocence, independence and freedom.
واده مې چې وکړ ژړل مې، اوس 2 میاشتې کېږي خپل د خپل د میړه کور دلته راغلی یم. داسې راباندې کار ډېر کوي، کار مې هم نه دی لږ زده نه دی، دغه دپاره اوس دلته خپل مور سره راغلی، مور مې لږ کار راته ښیي. ژوند مې مخته هم دغسې و، تماس سبا ووتم اپشین د عینونه 500 روپۍ 100 روپۍ 10 روپۍ کبال مې ټولول. دا چې واده مې وکړ په دغه ورځ مې واده ولا زه ولاړم کباړ ته ولاړم، کباړ مې ټولول، کاغذان مې ټولول، عینان مې ټولول، خرڅ مې کوي نو ډوډۍ موډۍ راوړم، دا کوچنی خوري چې خرڅ مې نه کوي دغسې تږه ناسته دی. تو سالنډي مرض لا لرم، ساه مې چې ډېرې بندېږي، دغه یخ چې کېږي داسې ساه مې بندېږي، تمام ورځ په بستر یم، تمام ورځ جګرخونې کوم او تمام ورځ داسې ورته زړه مې دغسې اور وایم واخیستی.
मेरी नंढी उम्र में शादी थी तो मैंने छोकरी मैंने बाबे ये सोचा होसी तो मैं तो मैंने दिला पानी तक मैंने बाबे कहते वॾी थी सी पे मैं बिलावण डो है ना वॾा छोकरा बिलावण असारा नंढे रवाज है ना नंढड़े उम्र ते शादी कर छोड़े लिया नंढी उम्र ते कर नितला पीछे मेरे बाबे मैंने दी थी मैं जैसे ते पे मैं शादी कर छोड़े सा.
Over and over, girls are forced to leave classrooms where they thrived and into marriages where most of them never wanted to be.
शादी खां पहिरीं माना मां स्कूल वेंदी हुअमि त सुठो लॻंदो हो, मां जब मां पढ़ां पोइ शादी खां पोइ मुंहिंजी शादी थी वई त पोइ मां चवंदमि पोइ बि मुंहिंजो शौक़ु आहे उहो, पर मां शादी खां पिछे बि मां माना स्कूल मां शौक़ु आहे मेरा पढ़ण दा, मां जब मां पढ़ां सारे छोकिरा इवें करंदा आहिनि दिला पाणी ते चवंदा आहिनि त शादी कर छोड़ींदा. शादी खां पहिरियों माण्हू आज़ादु हो, माना घर जो कमुकार अपनी मर्ज़ी ते करंदी हुअमि, पिछे वारा माउ पीउ वादे करंदी हुअमि, न त ठहे बैठी हूंदी हुअमि. मां दी बैठी हुंदी आ शादी के पीछे वाला सजी घर दी जिम्मेवारी आ गई ना सजी घर दी जिम्मेवारी आ गई सजी घर दा काम कार मना बालों को संभालना पीछे भी मैंने घर वाले मैंने पीछे रोक छोड़ा घर दी सजी जिम्मेवारी आ गई अपनी दीदी शादी मना वडी थी सी पीछे करवाई सा
Growing up in poverty, the girls value an education.
Iya sih, takutnya gitu yang ditakutkan. Dulunya sih sempat nangis gitu, mau udah saya tuh pengen sekolah aja dulu. Tapi kata maknya udah nggak ada biaya, dia nggak bisa lanjut itu. Kata orang tua udah gini aja, udah nikah aja. Baru umur anak dibikin cepet aja, anak umur 2 tahun saya udah ditinggal. Ya mungkin karena enggak terurus mungkin. Ya kayak sayanya kan belum bisa ngurus suami sama anak mungkin. Mungkin kurang diurus gitu, makannya, tidurnya gitu. Kalau saya kan pengennya bermain terus sama teman-teman.
To kamar da kika sani dai ban fara al'ada a lokacin ba, amma kuma sai ina gidan mijin na fara. To kuma dai da na zo haihuwa dai kin san yanayin da yara karancin shekaru baka yi girman ma da zaka san menene matsalolin ciki ba, amma wurin haihuwa dai an sha wahala.
Khadija, a member of the Fulani tribe, comes from a family of clerics. At 13, she was 2 years younger than the age limit that girls in her family are married off.
Amma ba a yin sama da haka. To maganar kuma da kika yi min na cewa akai haɗi ne, to zan iya cewa haɗi ne tunda a lokacin ba zan iya tantancewa me ya so me ya kiyayya ba kuma ban san ma ya so yake ba.
Throughout the world, young girls realize almost immediately the harsh realities of an early marriage.
Ai vërtet ishte I verbër, po ishte alkoolist, nuk rinte në shtëpi. Isha 13 vjeç, 7 muaj, ishte 24 vjeç në atë kohë. Martesa zgjati 15 vite, mbasi unë bëra 4 fëmijë me këtë që kisha. Dhe pastaj durova I thash, u detyrova që ikë sepse nuk mund të rinja dot më.
আরে যখন যখন পড়তেছিলাম আজকে অন্য প্রতিদিন পড়তে থাকতাম আজকে মানুষ এত লাঞ্ছনা এত কথা এত কিছু শোনা লাগতো না ভালোটা চাকরি বাকরি করতে পারতাম ভালোটা কাজ কাম করতে পারতাম কিন্তু অথচ এখন মূর্খ দেখা এখন পড়াতে দূরের কথা এখন আজ পর্যন্ত আমার স্বামী আমার লাথি মেরে ফেলাতে হয়ে গেল গা আজ যদি পড়ালেখা থাকতো তো স্বামী যেতে পারতো না এরকম আমাকে ফেলাতে আজকে যদি লেখাপড়া করতাম পাঁচটা জানতাম বুঝতাম শুনতাম তাহলে আজকে আমার এই দিনটা দেখা হইতো না একমাত্র বাবা আমার ভুলের কারণে আর বিয়েটা হয়ে যাওয়ার কারণে আজকে আমি এই রাস্তায় আজকে আমি এই পথে
خودنا که همه بی سواتا ایران گفتم طور نمیگذاره مکتب اگه تو بری کارام که میکنه بعد از عروسی هم میشه ور مخود بدور مادر پیش میکرد پیار پیش میکرد مکتب خو همه می دوران طفولیت خورد هست من مکتب خوش دیدم که
is about more than just sitting here and talking about women's issues. It's about listening to them
and bringing their opinions to the table and making sure their voices are heard.
Because our lived experiences, our stories, and our voices will help shape the next generation.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. Every week, connect with our experts. You can ask them your questions and get their advice. Join me, Lina Humudu, in Washington on Healthy Living, your new health program, right here on Voice of America.
In a village in Tanzania, faced with the prospect of being married off to a stranger, 14-year-old Mwana Hamisi took control of her own destiny. She said no.
Siku hiyo ikatokea shughuli, nikaenda pale katika shughuli za tuseme za shule za graduation, nikaenda tukafanya sherehe, nikasikia kama mtu na umri mdogo anataka kuolewa. Fika kituoni, akataja zile namba za simu, nikachukua zile namba nikaziandika, nikaondoka zangu nyumbani. Nilia, mama akasemaje, nenda, nikaondoka zangu. Niliondoka zangu hivyo fika siku ya pili ile, yule bibi akanipa ile simu ili niwasiliane na yule bwana. Aliponipa ile simu, mimi nikaichukua ile simu, nikaziandika zile namba, nikaanza kuwasiliana na polisi. Nikawasiliana nao, akaniambia inabidi ulipate hilo jina la baba na hizo tarehe. Ilifika siku ya pili, nikamuuliza mimi na ule tarehe ngapi? Akaniambia tarehe kuhusu ananioa nani? Akaniambia hivi vinavyokuhusu wewe hapo kaa. Akaja mwenyekiti wa mtaa. Ulipofika usiku akaja mwenyekiti wa mtaa, akasema wewe ndo Damwana? Nikamwambia ndio. Akaniambia aje, sisi tumepata taarifa kutoka kituoni kama wewe unataka kuolewa. Kweli wewe? Nikamwambia kweli. Kwa mwenyewe mimi sitaki kuolewa. Basi mwenyekiti tena akatumwa aende kule eneo la tukio, akaambia hii ndoa isitishe.
She now lives in a shelter with other vulnerable girls and dreams of a career in fashion. Despite a worldwide acceptance of child marriage, the young brides realize their own self-worth. Girls marry for a number of reasons. But what about old-fashioned love? As the saying goes, it's complicated. Estrella was in the 6th grade when she fell in love. She married her boyfriend over their parents' objections. In Mexico, roughly 1 in 4 girls is married or in a live-in relationship by age 18.
Me llamo Estrella Belén Estrada Rodríguez, tengo 13 años, iba de segundo grado de la secundaria, sino que lo pensaba por mi escuela, pues, pero como lo quiero mucho, sí quería estar con él. Cambió pues porque estudiaba y llegando pues ya estaba todo listo. Ya ahorita pues tengo que atender a mi esposo. Me levanto temprano a darle pues su café para las 5:40, 6. Ya después empiezo a limpiar la casa, lavo los trastes, lavo su ropa, todo, ¿no? Y ya le ayudo a mi suegra a hacer pues el desayuno para que aprenda yo a cocinar, pues, más que nada, porque como no muy sé, pues, ya mi suegra me enseña. Pero ya me estoy acostumbrando.
Okay, I live in Dyersburg, Tennessee. I work all the time, take care of my baby and the husband. That's about it.
At 16, Katie married a man twice her age. Her mother signed the marriage license.
I got pregnant underage, and that was kind of what had us go ahead and get married so I wouldn't send him to jail. A lot of people look down on him for it and stuff, you know, but like I told him, I don't care what anybody thinks. I love him, you know, it is what it is. I mean, we're like any other marriage couple. We've had our problems. I mean, we split up. I went and stayed with them for a little bit, but we just know we want to live with each other. We want to be with each other, you know what I mean? So we work through our problems. I couldn't live without him.
Sultan in Turkey can relate to that. Now nearing 60, hers was an arranged marriage. She has 2 sons and no regrets.
Güzel bir şeydi. Bilmiyorum. Ben de çocuktum. Beraber büyüdük oğlumla. Ama eşimi hiç tanımamıştım, bilmiyordum. Zamanla biz birbirimizi tanıdık. Şimdi çok mutluyum, çok şükür. Yani iki tane aslan gibi oğlum var. güzel bir yerdedirler. Eşimle beraber yaşıyorum.
مدتی که اونجا در خانه بودی 1 سال ادعا می‌کنی و در خانه بودم برخورد اینا با تو چطور؟
8 months after her first interview, Samaya is transformed. She is divorced and living at home, away from the beatings and violence of her in-laws. Her father was sentenced to 2 years in jail for forcing her into marriage. She's happy and healing and wants to learn to read the Quran.
اونا دارن زندگی خور میکنم، من زندگی عادی خور شروع کردم، خیاطی میکنم. من مادر یک براری دارم، برار من فعلا به شرکت مایه بره کار میکنه، دیگه کسی نیاز ما که مثلا نوار خانه ما فقط مانه، اول خدا بعد از ما برار مینه کلا نمینه. پدر ما کارم نمیکرد. بله فعلا بیتر شده، حالا که پیام نیم خب کل بیتر شده، به خاطر از اینکه پیام که به جنگ دعوا میکرد و چه میکرد، همون پولی که ما خیاطی کردی از ما میسون، به این واسه از اون لحاظ خیلی خوب. خونه دیگه ما خیاطی مانه که مثلا اپرانه که بیارم برای ما خیلی میارم، بیشتر خیاطی و پیش مانه.
Na nikaendelea kusoma ile shule tuseme. Ndoto zangu nataka niwe mwana design mzuri.
Ya alasan saya mengajukan ke MK, jangan sampai adanya pernikahan anak lagi. Udah cukup saya aja yang jadi korban. Kalau dinikahin masih anak, masih kecil tuh, aduh nggak enak rasanya. Iya, memperjuangkan anak gitu. Udah jangan sampai kayak saya gitu. Harus diperjuangkan anak.
What about your microphone, Mama?
It just stays there.
Why?
It just does.
Nie minuty, ja to podzielu. Unë martova se mbeta në rrugë, ku mund ta çoja unë vajzën time. Pra ma tisha në një shtëpi me vajzën, kisha një shtëpi personale siç jam këtu për shkak. Me vajzën time, normalisht unë do ta arsimoja fëmijën. S'kishte nevojë vajza im për burr 11 vjeçë, 12 vjeçë, 13 vjeçë. Ta arsimohesh, të shkonte në një punë, të punonte për veten e saj në një kurs, për veten e saj, jo për mua, për veten. Unë do punoja vetë edhe për fëmijën që fëmia im të ishte dikushi.
Girls like Samaya are the exception rather than the rule. Around the globe, they remain at risk. For every girl like Mwana Hamisi who escaped an unwanted marriage, millions more are trapped in abusive, unhappy unions. For every Katie and Sultan who found love, comfort and stability, millions more are like Khadija and Orkida who don't know what love is.
Unë I bëj një mesazh të gjithë këtyre nënave, vërtet ne vetë jena martuar në një moshë të vogël, por të paktën fëmijëve tanë t'i japin një arsimim të mirë dhe fëmia mund të martohet në një moshë e pakta 20 vjeç, e pakta.
তাই আমি সবার কাছে বলবো একটা কথাই কমু যে আমার মতো আমরা চাই না যে কোনো মেয়ের বাবা মা কোনো মেয়েকে অল্প বয়সে বিয়ে দিয়ে কোনো মেয়ের পড়ালেখা নষ্ট করুক বা কোনো মেয়ের জীবনটা নষ্ট করুক।
I do regret, not finishing school, growing up way too fast. That's just stuff you shouldn't do when you're a kid, honestly. I see that all now. I didn't see it then, though, and you can't change it.
Ending marriage before 18 is one of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It asks that governments, civil society organizations, religious and community leaders, and families work together to re-evaluate the worth of their goals. It's a community effort, it's a country effort, it's a global effort.
So if somebody would have had a similar story to mine and would have told me, I wish that would have happened for me. I wish I had somebody to tell me that I was making the wrong choice.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you? I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know. Pastor Itwai Godalo bears his mind as regards the state of the nation and the role of the church in today's Nigeria. And Governor Yahya Bello receives advice as regards the next step in his political career. This is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Anna Cohn. The senior pastor of the Trinity Church Itua Ighodalo has stated that it is foolish to reject the COVID-19 vaccine. He urged pastors to encourage their congregation to seek scientifically proven information from Pastor Itua. Is it that the message is not being preached right, or is it that the people are hard on hearing? Because, I mean, it's supposedly, it's supposed to show in our attitude and in our dealings with one another. Am I wrong?
It's a mixture of both, to be honest. In some areas, the message is not preached right. It's not preached forcefully. It's not preached with conviction. It's not preached with authority, because some of us pastors, some of us ministers have even lost the voice, the gumption, the moral authority to actually preach the messages the way they should be preached. And then again, because of the situation in the country, the state of the nation, the high poverty index, and the almost inculcated culture of corruption. It has almost become a culture. And there's even a generation that does not know good from bad, right from wrong. It seems almost a normal and natural thing to do, even in this day and age. So things have gone so bad in Nigeria in terms of the moral fiber of the nation and the attitude of the people, that the church itself is not left alone. And therefore, we have a lot of that challenge going on right now. So it takes a while. You know, somebody says you need to repeat a message about 9 to 15 times before people can actually receive and absorb it and understand it. You need to keep repeating it and showing examples and proving to the people that what you are telling them is right. But sometimes in Nigeria, people are in such dire straits that they cannot wait for the manifestation of what is right. It takes a lot of sacrifice in Nigeria to try and do things on the right and straight and narrow path. Even the people you want to do it for will criticize you. And even the people you are amongst will say to you that, are you the only one? And if you do not cooperate with them, then they either make life difficult for you or victimize you or even move against you and make you seem like the bad person. That's really how tough and difficult things are in Nigeria as we speak.
Now, like I said earlier on, a lot of preachers shy away from these things. In fact, it's even difficult for you to walk into a church and hear a pastor saying, go get your voter's card or register and get voted, vote whoever your choice is, but make your votes count. You hardly even hear those kind of things come from the pulpit. But you, as a preacher, you have sat on several government panels, you have served in many capacities, and one would really wonder how you do this and still manage to be a preacher, because, you know, there are people who will look at you and say, well, you're no longer a real preacher. You have been politicized. You have been stung by the politics bee. But I want to ask, these politicians that we're quick to point fingers at, and I'm in no way trying to play the devil's advocate for any politician, are from amongst us. They're from our communities. They're from our states. There's some even related to us. But it's very easy for us to say, when we talk about corruption, we say, oh, our leaders are corrupt. But our leaders are supposed to be a mirror of society. So does that mean that maybe our society in itself is bad, and that's why we have bad leaders? Are we deserving of the leaders that we have?
Sometimes I think we are, because the leaders come from among the people in the society. But it is the leaders that, first of all, instituted the culture of the society. The fish rots from the head. But year and year upon leadership, decade and decade upon leadership, have instituted a culture of corruption that it has now become endemic. It has become the norm almost in Nigeria, and everybody thinks almost the same way. So it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of shouting, a lot of crying, a lot of begging, a lot of pleading, a lot of teaching to change this culture. Because if you are not corrupt or corruptible or bendable, you are almost like you are not normal. It's like you are running against the grain of things. And you do find that people tend to want to compromise you or force you to compromise or insist that you must compromise or thereafter punish or waste your time. For example, a lot of people also in Nigeria don't even know their rights. They don't know their rights. They're easily intimidated. They don't know what they should stand for. The law in Nigeria says that you cannot unlawfully detain a man for longer than 24 hours. He's entitled to his phone call, entitled to his bail, entitled to his lawyer, and you must give a reason why he's been detained. But in Nigeria today, they give onerous bail conditions that some people have even become professional bail administrators. Okay, bring a house, bring a civil servant who has a house in Ikoyi, a house in Abuja, a house in Lokoja, this, that, and the other. Impossible bail conditions that don't work. But the law says a man is innocent until proven guilty. So EFCC, ICPC, police, they lock you up for 1 month. Nobody is asking after you. Because if you're a nobody, you're a nobody. You can't talk to anybody. And they keep you there and there's no right. So people don't know their rights. They're intimidated by everything around them. They are oppressed, they are suppressed, they are abused, they are marginalized, they are dehumanized, and they think less of themselves, and they are not emancipated in their brain. And therefore, we have this problem all over Nigeria, okay? You can't go and, I go to the prisons a lot. There are people in prison today because they stole 10,000 naira or something like that, or because people cannot find 5,000 naira to help them get a lawyer that will talk about their bail, or they're just there awaiting trial. The judges don't sit, the magistrates are not available, and the guy spends 2 years in prison because they said he stole a goat or stole a fowl, or he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or they found him wandering on the streets and they just keep him there because he's from a poor background, he has nobody to speak up for him, nobody has come to look for him, and he's just there in prison, in jail, eating government food, no trial, no judicial process, nothing. Many people also in EFCC like that, all over the place, and nobody to speak up for them. This is the challenge in Nigeria. Nobody to speak up for you, nobody to tell you that you have a right. I was listening to Falana the other day, and when he was reading out the rights of the Nigerian, even for me at my level, I found it very interesting. I didn't know that we had all those rights. It's all in the law, it's in the Constitution, but people don't know.
Interesting. Let's talk about the lethargic nature, still talking about us, the Nigerians, of how we deal with issues of governance. We see a lot of people very vocal on social media. We see a lot of people vocal in, their small gatherings, on their dinner tables, sometimes in bear parlors. But when it comes down to casting our votes and making our voices count, I mean, you can see a classic example is what happened in 2019. There was a serious case of voter apathy. And aside from the people who even have, the voters' cards to go vote, there are a lot of people who don't even have these voters' cards, but they're always complaining. Can we say that those people have a right to complain about good governance? Because they say if you don't vote, or whether you vote or not, if you decide not to show up, you have made a decision one way or the other. So you cannot complain about bad governance or how bad the situation of things are if you have not, one way or the other, casted your vote. Now, I also know that the election process in Nigeria has its highs and its lows, and the lows may be more than the highs. But how can we, from the angle of the church, and I'm saying we here, you, sir, help people to understand how important it is to have your say in choosing the kind of leaders that we have? Because 2 years down the line, we're already complaining. And look, we still have some more years to go under this administration, and we're complaining about insecurity, we're complaining about poverty, we're complaining about almost everything. What is the role of the church in making people understand that they have rights? Because I know that if we're waiting on the NOA, we probably might wait the rest of our lives.
One of the problems of the church is the lack of information and exposure and knowledge of some of the pastors and the kind of doctrine or religion that we're preaching. When I first got born again, what they used to say to me was that come out from among them What has light got to do with darkness? Politics is dirty, it's of the world. You mustn't get involved, this and that and this and that. I think that's a great misnomer, and it's a great injustice to the average citizen and to the average Christian. Jesus, I dare say, was very political. He challenged the Greeks, the Romans, the authorities of the day. He challenged the Pharisees, the Sanhedrins, and the Sadducees, and told them that they were white-tailed sepulchres, that they were hypocrites, and they were not practicing what they preached. And the church needs to do that. We must get involved in politics. We must get involved in leadership. We must get involved in selecting and being part of the selection of the people who rule and govern us as a nation. Let's not play the ostrich and tell us that we should stay in our caves and be praying and fasting and hoping that God will come down from heaven and wrought a great deliverance. God doesn't operate like that. God cooperates with men to do what he wants to do on earth. If you don't do what you should do, if Moses didn't stretch out his hands over the Red Sea wouldn't have parted. So God wants your cooperation for you to do what you need to do, and then he will do what you cannot do. And most of these things is common sense. David was a Christian, he was a president. So also was Moses. He was a Christian, was a president. So also was Solomon. He was a Christian, he was a president. He had a pastor, Nathan, and all people like that who came and consulted with him from time to time. And so it was people like Nathan who were able to speak truth to power in people like David, who made him correct his bad decision of sleeping with Bathsheba's wife. If you try that in Nigeria, they will accuse you of disloyalty. They will accuse you of witch hunting. They will accuse you of criticism of them. But if Nathan had not spoken to David and told him that what he did as a president was bad, he would have destroyed the whole economy of Israel. And this is what the church needs to do. We need to get our voice. We need to speak and tell the people and the leaders and whoever that what you are doing is bad. It's very, very bad. It is unacceptable. It's ungodly. It is not good for the people for you to do these things. And if you cannot say it, then you don't have any right to spiritual leadership of any sort. It means you are not consulting God, or you cannot hear from God. Nathan heard from God, and he spoke to David and says, David, you are the man. He spoke to him politely, told him a story, and then pointed to him and says, what you did was wrong. And David, a good leader, had the humility to apologize and tell Nathan that I am sorry. Please talk to God, beg God for me to help me. Our leaders won't do that. They will put you in jail. If you had a contract with them, they will cancel it. If you wanted to do something, they will attack you. They will go and start saying all sorts of things. But any leader that is not able to listen to criticism, is not able to listen to comments, is not able to accept the views of his people, is not worthy of their leadership. And what we're saying is that we want servant leaders that will listen to the people, no matter how foolish they are. It was 4 lepers at the gates of Samaria that went back to tell the king that the economy was changing. In Nigeria, you will say that they are lepers. What do they know? They are area boys. Get out, get out. You can't come near the state house. Can you imagine? You would have lost a whole revolution because people were just not listening. My appeal is to our leaders. Be humble, be normal, be human beings. You were first of all a human being before you became a leader. You cannot lose your humanity because people are flocking around you. One is carrying your bag, one is carrying your pen, one is carrying your umbrella, and you now feel that you are greater than anybody else. You are not. You are just a man like anybody else, and you must not forget that. Only God is king, and only God is to be feared. And what I'm saying to the people, stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. What are you afraid of? We need to speak to our leaders. They need to help the people. The people must be set free. They must be allowed to develop themselves. You cannot have 1 billion as your budget, and you've taken 80% of it to build a house, to buy this, to buy that, and the people are impoverished. It's not fair. That's all we're saying. And the people must have a voice, and they must say so. If you don't say it, they won't know it, and they'll keep thinking what they're doing is right. And so the church must rise up and stop playing the ostrich. They have the platform. And so also must the mosques and the alfas. They must, I'm reaching out to a lot of my friends who are Muslims and a lot of my Alpha friends and a lot of my Alaji friends and saying we must work on this thing together. Nigeria belongs to all of us. We are all stakeholders in this country. Nobody must say he's more of a stakeholder than myself. No, it's just privilege and grace that makes you governor and makes me ordinary Itua. It's just grace. It's just the grace of God. And you mustn't abuse that grace. It's a privilege for God to use you to change the lives of people. And you must try and do it. And what some of these leaders don't understand is if they did the right thing, people will clap for them. And what they're looking for, running up and down, spending billions of naira for, they will get it on a platter of gold. Nigerians are easy to govern. They just want a space in the sun. And if you make space for them, you can go and do what you want. Okay. They won't bother you.
Okay. I want to come in there because you made a very interesting point about us speaking up, us, not being afraid. The last time that we came together to speak up about anything, I'd like to take you back to October 20 of 2020. We all were witnesses to what happened at the Lekki toll, and that issue is gradually gathering dust. It seemed to have been swept under the carpet just like that. So telling the average Nigerian to not be afraid, speak up, say whatever you need to say, you must be heard, no matter what it takes, you have to speak about the government. But like you said, you know what criticism has taken a lot of people to, and those who decided to say enough is enough, today we're unable as Nigerians to protest. It's not written anywhere, but every single time a group of people decide that they're going to protest, they release the police, they release the army. So really, where does the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria come in here?
It cannot continue forever. France went through the same thing, and then one day the people stormed the Bastille, and the Bastille came crashing down. There's only so far that you can push a people, okay? And what they did at that toll gate was very unfair, and they know it. You don't turn your guns on your own citizens, okay? Yes, you can come there, tell them to please leave. There have been protests all over the world. People have been marshaled out of that place carefully and told them that enough of your protests. What they did out there is totally unfair, and they know it. In their beds, in their consciences, they know it. And we just must find a way to comfort the nation and to suit the affairs of the nation. Whether somebody gave the order of the soldier or whoever was being a bit too enthusiastic and blah, 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 somebody must take responsibility, because somebody put the guns in the hands of those soldiers and put the bullets in the hands of those soldiers, whether live or dummy bullets. All I know is that people died at that place.
And if nobody takes responsibility for what happened, because it looks like nobody is, in a case where nobody takes responsibility as it is right now, what then happens? What is the fate of the average Nigerian? Because again, fear reverberates across the minds of the people, even when they know that they're being oppressed. Now, you did make mention of something in your last interview. You talked about us naming these politicians, saying their names, but you did not say too many names. You said one name. Again, how do we say names of politicians or, start pointing fingers if, we know that they might come after us?
They can't come after you. Why should they come after you? Coming after you with what? A politician is a citizen as myself, okay? He may have some instruments of government here and there, but it's only temporary. The law of Nigeria says you can run office for only 4 times 2 years, and so on. So after 8 years, you come back home. You understand? And what I said is that we must go to each one of them and address them and speak to them and talk to them.
And who are these
tell
people?
them,
Why can't,
who
are these people? Who are these each and every, because everybody keeps asking why you were not able to mention the names of these people. Why could you not name them when you were saying we should name them? Who are these people? Can you name them? Well, these people that we need to go to and ask them to let the people go.
I said they are gatekeepers in Nigeria, okay? And the gatekeepers are the people in power, okay? And we know the people in power. You know the governor of Lagos State, governor of Kwara, governor of Edo, governor of Sokoto, governor of Zamfara. You know them. They're there. We must go to each one of them and speak to them. You know the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You know the Chief of Staff of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You know the Vice President thereof. You know the Head of Service. You know the Secretary to the Government. We have to go to each one of them. You know the ministers thereof. I say they are gatekeepers of Nigeria. You know the leaders of each of the political parties that are in power or out of power today. You know the President of the Senate. You know the Speaker of the House of Representatives. They are the gatekeepers of Nigeria. They're the ones that have constituted themselves into a political club. We must go and talk to each one of them. Each one of them. This man, what you are doing is good, no problem. But this one, what you are doing is not good. You must change or you must leave. It's as simple as that. They're not strange people to us. There's no hidden name that you do not know, hidden person.
But these people are inaccessible to us. You know this, Pastor. They're not accessible to us.
Of Nigeria.
These people are inaccessible to us. I mean, in fact, let's start with the people who represent us in either our constituencies or senatorial districts. You cannot even have access to sometimes your local government chairman. Most people don't even know who their local government chairmen are. And some of them don't even live in those local governments. So, I mean, that's where the issue even starts. And these gatekeepers you're referring to are inaccessible to us. So where do we even start when you say, let's go to them and tell them this? We cannot have access to these guys. It sounds pretty aloof to me.
That is the beginning. But they have offices, they have homes. We will go there. Are they going to lock themselves up in their offices? We will go there. We're not ready. That's the problem. Why should your governor be inaccessible to you? That's the beginning. Is he going to stay in his state house forever? Is he not going to drive on the streets of Lagos? When you see his convoy, you don't recognize it? Why should your governor be inaccessible to you? Why should your local government chairman be inaccessible to you? And those who are not inaccessible, they have offices. If you go to your local government chairman's office today, you will see him. He's not going to tell you he's not going to see you. It's not possible. He doesn't have as much security as the governor. He's there. The problem is that you won't go there. How can you not know your local government chairman? And if you go there, you know his name, he doesn't see you. Election is coming now. Are you going to vote for him again? He's not God. The governor was living amongst us yesterday now. Well, he's moved into State House. So his office is in Marina. You go there. I want to see my governor. Do you have an appointment? I don't have an appointment. Call his secretary, call his chief of staff. Let me make an appointment to see him.
And then we get arrested
you go to
for
the
being
press.
a nuisance.
I'll come and tell you that yesterday I went to see Governor so-and-so. He refused to see me. Put it in your news and tell the whole world that he refused to see me. Will you put it in your news? Tell them.
But
Put it in your news.
Before he gets to the news, the person would probably be arrested for being a nuisance.
What do you mean being a nuisance? If you go to England today and stand in front of 10 Downing Street, be you a Trump or anything, and say you want
England
to see the
is too
Prime Minister,
far
you will see
away.
him.
You're comparing us with a saner climb. This is Nigeria, sir.
We have to create that sanity in Nigeria, my dear. That's the problem. You know, a lot of people don't want to do anything. They just want to stay there and say, these people are not gods, they're human beings. They are human beings. That's their starting point. They are not. They're human beings. They are flesh and blood. As a matter of fact, you'll be surprised that a lot of them are lonely and looking for people who come and talk to them. They are not gods. What do you mean they are inaccessible? They have drivers, they have cooks. They have all sorts of people who live in their houses, who work for them. Why can you not see your president? Why? You should be able to see your president. A president should have town hall meetings on a regular basis, dealing with all sorts of people.
That's a whole kettle of fish. You don't want us to go down that road, Pastor Isua, but I want to thank you so much for being part of
this country must change, and this is how we're going to change it.
Okay.
This country must change, and you people in the press must make sure the country changes. And you two must speak out and tell them what we need to do to govern this country properly. Tell them.
I believe
you
that's
don't
what
just keep saying excellency, excellency all over the place. For how long?
Well, I believe that's what we're doing. I want to say thank you so much to you, Pastor Itua.
The country must change, Can you hear what I'm saying? This country must change. And you press, you have a lot of role to play in this thing. You have a lot of role to play. You have to keep talking about it. You have to keep letting people know that the state of nation, the first thing said that you said that I can't see my governor, I can't see my president. That's zero to start off with. Impossible.
Okay.
If he's my president, I should be.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent.